So, what is this two economies thing that you may have heard about in the news, either on CNBC or MS, whatever the hell? Um, in a nutshell, the concept of two economies refers to the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500 not necessarily reflecting what's truly going on with the economy. Um, what that means is even though you see the New York Stock Exchange numbers go up, it doesn't necessarily mean that things are getting better for the average guy on the street. So that is that is a bit of a two-sided coin. On the one hand, just because the New York Stock Exchange is doing better doesn't mean that jobs are getting better. And also, just because the New York Stock Exchange is getting worse doesn't mean that jobs are getting worse. All too often, I think people will take a look at it and say, well, they'll use the information to serve their own ends, as is a person who has a very bearish outlook, which the two different types of outlooks. So bull. Think of like the upward horns of a bull, and then the bear always has its little nose to the ground. So the way that it's arranged is a bull always thinks things are getting better, and the bear always thinks things are getting worse as far as value. So what'll happen is when you have the stock market going up, yet the true functioning economy is going down, a person will go ahead and point that out, like, oh, look, it's totally separate and this and that and the other thing. However, when the stock market is going down and things are bad, then the person will go ahead and use the stock exchange. Oh, and look, the stock exchange is down, and it serves their ends. And it all comes down to people are willing to use the tools that they want to prove their point. And they'll show certain data that supports their point. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. But that's just what it is. So if you hear the whole term two economies, now you know. Now, is it good or bad? There's two. Now, please take this with a grain of salt, because I've only got a couple years of experience in this, but there's two ways that the value or the projected value of a stock occurs. You have, there's more than two, but there's two here that I'm going to talk about. You have the fundamental analysis and the technical analysis. The fundamental analysis is when you take a look at how well the business is doing, how much money it's making, how much innovation they have going on, and how much better they're doing from one quarter to the next. You want to kind of see good growth, and the idea is that if the fundamentals are solid, then the value goes up. Technical analysis is when people take a look at the charts and they look at the trend in purchasing power, and it has to do with buyer perception. Now they do cross over. Obviously, the people that have the fundamentals will put it up against the technical analysis, and then make a speculative purchase, and it changes the value. But when you have a whole two separate economies thing, the fundamentals are somewhat being ignored in favor of a technical purchase. Now, why would they do that? Does it make any sense? Yes, it does, because the people that are in the market are, for all intents and purposes, when they're trading, they are gambling, more or less, assuming that the value they enter at a certain price point, assume the value is going to go up, and that's what they use to make their judgment. I mean, gambling seems like a bad term for it, but I think it's an accurate description, because there is a chance that it could go in either direction based on sentiment. So I'm going to cut the video off there, and any questions anybody's got or anything to add, more than welcome to.